What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Sportscast. It's me, Andy Grant. I've got Gary Judge with me from Across the Park podcast. Our trusted steed producer Musk is in the feathers. Big thanks to them for letting us record here. It's the bottom of Harris Drive on Hawthorne Road. It's boss. It's only a little small boozer, but it's got that proper belter atmosphere when everyone's in. Loads of friendly faces. So get down here and support your local boozer. This is our last Sportscast as well, 2024. As I will not be coming in here on Boxing Day next Thursday to record at you boys as much as I love you. That, yeah. I will be at Aintree Races Boxing Day, innit? I'll be there. So this is the last one. Just a massive thanks before we get onto the show for all the support this year. Feel like we're proper back to it now with the weekly sports show. So yeah, thanks to the boys and thanks to everyone for listening. With it being Christmas, we'll start off with a few Christmas songs. What's your favourite Crimbo song? I'm leading this in, you see, to a bit of a story. That's why I asked you.
Shakin' Stevens, probably.
What's that one?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Paul McCartney, Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time.
Okay, so mine was the Driving Home for Christmas.
Yeah.
But anyway, right.
Yeah.
So, one for you. I told Moshiri this last week, right? Funny lad. So, 15 years ago, we're driving home from Arbroath. Me and a lad, Billy, lives in Walton, out the Marines. We're driving back, festive period, everyone's feeling a little bit, we're coming out of Arbroath and we go to Tesco's petrol station to fill up a petty. We see a fella with a sign saying Preston and he's sitting on a box.
M6.
Billy's feeling festive. Anyway, he goes, yeah lad, we'll take you down. I'm in the passenger seat, the boot goes up. It's like a wooden crate thing, box, puts it in the boot. As he puts it in the boot, the fucking
just felt the car.
Yeah. I was like, anyway, gets in, he seems sound, big fella, sitting in the back, seemed alright. Small talk gets going and that. I go,
what's in the crate?
What's in the crate? Have I told you a story before?
No, but it just sounds like I feel like this is like a joke, a story.
Well, that's the first thing you'd say, wasn't it? It's like, what's in the crate? Lad, his face drops, he goes, none of your fucking business. Right?
No, go on.
What?
I've heard this story.
No,
going.
Yeah, no, that's what I was just like. You heard the story?
I've heard the story.
Oh, gutted, lads, gutted. It was on Under the Cosh. Anyone who's listening, right?
It's a classic.
He's fucked up. Well, he's not fucked up, you've heard it, but I heard one of the funniest jokes ever, and I won't ruin it for anyone, but Muskie maybe put it in the tag or something, because you'll have to go and watch it on Under the Cosh.
I reckon I'd like to see a bit of a vote, and we can maybe do it on Instagram. Who's heard this story? So your little intro, and then do a little vote of who's heard this story. Yeah. Have you heard the story, yes or no? And you know from a minute ago, none of your fucking business.
Honestly, I told it to me half, a few people, and they're all crying, laughing. Yeah. And I was hoping you hadn't heard it, but anyway, it's hard to give you a bit of a festive laugh, and Gary's ruined it.
Because it carries on. Just because I haven't heard it.
No, but you'll know what's
the benefit of me.
Anyway, right, let's get going into the footy. Right. In fact, so all we've got on the show, it's footy, boxing and darts. They're the three things we're going to talk about. But the one little bit I will put in is tennis. And the only thing I was going to say, good news, is the first male tennis player has come out as gay. There's a few women who have been gay, but the first male player has come out. His name is João Lucas Reis de Silva. He's ranked 400th in the world. He's Brazilian. And he put on Instagram, happy birthday, happy life, I love you, to his boyfriend, and he's the first male competitive tennis player.
Fair play.
It's good. And the only other little bit of news, which is me taking the piss a little bit, is Emma Raducanu. She said, for 2025, I've learned to say no. And I can just imagine like someone going, hi Emma, do you want to win Wimbledon this year? No. You know what I mean? So she's learned to say no, so maybe she can start saying yes
to her endorsements and stuff, you mean? Probably.
I just think,
getting more money.
Dragged, maybe. She probably is getting dragged from pillar to post, isn't she? Can you come here, can you do this? And that's probably what she's putting down a drop in form.
Like you need to learn to say no.
I just fucking love a social, don't I? Right, that's it then. So just footy, boxing and darts to get this show going. Right, first off, start with the Reds. I was completely wrong last week. I thought Fulham at home, easy 3 points. It was only when you kind of on Saturday morning, you're looking at some of the stats, you realise that I think this is Fulham's best start of the season for about 20 years or something like that. They're in a really good run of form, playing well. Marco Silva's obviously doing good things with them. I still thought we'd win, but maybe I didn't give Fulham the credit they deserved. Robbo again. I mean, I don't use Twitter much these days, but I put on But, you know, it's mad about fans, isn't it? I just said, you know, listen, I love Robbo, but, like, he needs to, you know what I mean? We need a new left-back at the end of the season. And someone put, he's been a legend for the club, you can't say that. It's like, you can't say when players aren't, like, good enough to be in the team anymore, do you know what I mean? And he is good enough still to be, like, a squad player. I'm not saying completely bomb him, but he's not the Robbo of 4 or 5 years ago.
Miles on the clock, isn't he? He's not that old, is he? What, he's 29? Is he maybe
30? Is he 31?
But it's a bit like the Fabinho thing, isn't it? Where
yeah,
it's like,
you can just see, can't you?
He played so intense for like that period of time that it catches up.
That's the key, I think. It's not so much he's playing that time, it's the way he played under Klopp, like bombing up, and very rarely injured really as well, wasn't he? And I just think playing in Klopp's system for that long, he fucking just looked like a shadow of the player he was. And I think because Liverpool have been so good defensively this season, if you take the 3-3 away from Newcastle, I can actually remember most goals we conceded, because we've conceded so few, and a lot of them are down to him, whether he's giving away pens or, you know, getting himself sent off or just being found wanting at the back post. It's like,
and you look back as well, like in terms of, and again I've got this like apart from the
I know this is going to be a very biased.
No, it's not. No, I'm not at all. Like I've always got this picture in my head of him like chasing people, but also when he's tackling, he's always recovering. Like he's always chasing back. And it's like, if you lose that yards and then recovery tackles, suddenly from being great tackles, are fouls, are penalties, are sendings off, do you know what I mean? Because he's so aggressive naturally in his nature.
The two big things I've got is, number one, we spoke a little bit about it last week, is how the style of play has changed. It's not those kind of balls where, you know, those long kind of, from like kind of left back to right wing. There's not as many of them. You think of the Man City goal he scored, where it went from right back, from Trent to Robbo, and then Salah scored the header, I think it was. We don't really play like that as much anymore, so I don't think he's effective going forward. And then the other thing I was going to say was his position left back. When you do make a mistake, you tend to either get put on your ass by a tricky winger, or, you know, you found wanting at the back post, or, you know, you do something like give away a pen or get a sending off. If you make a mistake like Darwin Núñez, it's like, oh fucking hell, and he doesn't really get as much it doesn't really affect the game as much, if you like. Whereas I think that left back position, I played left back, it's like when you make a mistake, a lot of the time it can be a goal, can't it? And I think that's where he's getting.
He's not effective either way, is he? Do you know what I mean? Like he was more, as you say, he was a big threat from wide areas and stuff under Klopp, and he was, you know, obviously he's up there, isn't he, in terms of the most assists as a fullback and stuff. So that's gone now. He's not getting as advanced up the pitch. He's being asked to tuck inside. And again, if you look at fullbacks and say, are they an inside fullback or an outside fullback? He is as outside the fullback as you can get. The minute he's inside the pitch, he looks uncomfortable. So, you know, he's not great. He's not great on the ball. He's not as effective on the ball, and obviously he's getting exposed off the ball.
We spoke a lot as well. It's really interesting that we spoke a lot about the kind of how Arne Slot brought players on. I wonder what you're saying there. Remember that first game against Ipswich, where you've just said there he was probably the most outside fullback you can get. There was a game when he come inside, wasn't it, and undertook Van Dijk.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether mentally he's going.
It was just like weird, wasn't it? It looked weird.
I wonder whether like he's going, this manager wants something completely different of me, what I'm used to, and maybe it's knocked his confidence a bit. I don't know, but either way, it was another poor showing, and to go down to 10 men that early on wasn't great, was it?
I think if you think about what you just said about fullbacks, when they get found out, they properly get found out. The same thing's kind of happened with Walker this season as well. It's you can really see that he's lost that little edge, and those little edges, as Gary was saying, was when in your head you go, yeah, I'll make that, but then you don't. Or you're sprinting after someone that you normally would have caught up with a couple of years ago, and then you don't. And then it's like, that's where like you can see like the minutes of all kind of like.
And because we put players in boxes, don't we? We expect certain things of players. The second that they don't do that, it's like, oh, you know, we're just so used to seeing Robbo being this energetic fullback, and the second he's not doing those things we're used to, it's noticeable, isn't it? And it just made it a really tough start, to the point where I've gone from thinking Fulham at home, easy 3 points, to thinking I'd take a point now here. Like, you know, 1-0 down and down to 10 men. And again, even before the sending off, I think he was found wanting at the back post as well, wasn't he? I mean, he got a touch on it. You could argue he was a little bit unlucky, but
I think the touch actually took her away.
Took her away from Alisson, yeah. But I mean, I think Trent didn't play great either, by the way. I thought our both fullbacks defensively weren't great at all. Cross comes in from the left, Trent doesn't stop it, and then Robbo doesn't stop it. We're 1-0 down, and then he gets himself sent off. Massive uphill task. And then you've got to kind of give it to Slot then, haven't you, really, for actually going for it and really, really pushing on. Even when the pegged us back again, he made some mad... I mean, he looked like a cheerleader on the sideline.
First half, he must have changed the system about 4 times, and he only had 25 minutes that Robinson was off. Like, the amount of times that he was going, right, that's not really working how I wanted it. So he put, like, Gomez out on the right, then he was on the left, and then it was like, right, Gravenberch drop in. It was mad. He was constantly just tinkering away rather than going, I'll wait till half time.
Do you know what as well? I spoke to someone last week who was talking about somebody who like say inside the club, but well, yeah, it's someone inside the club, and he was saying the big difference between Klopp and Slot, apart from the styles of playing, the obvious stuff, is the players are involved in everything in training. As in, like, he'll talk them through what he thinks they should do, but then in training he's stopping it and he's going, "What do you reckon?" And they're going, "Well, I think this, you know, whatever." And I think, okay, well, let's have a go at that then. So I think, you know, when you've got a coach like that, when he's asking you to do stuff, you're going, okay, we'll give it a go, and they know he'll change it dead quickly anyway. He's not going to change it and then stick with it, and you're thinking, oh, no, I ain't chance of changing this. Yeah. They know he's going to keep changing it until Hughes finds a way, and it's like more of a collective thing.
Yeah, that is good, that.
So there's a bit more buy-in, I think, from the players. So when he's changing stuff, and I've said that a few times, haven't I? And I'm not the only person to say. You can see there's a lot of work that goes on at half-time, and I think he's coming in going, look, I've got some ideas here, lads, what do you think of this? And they come out and they fully buy into it, don't they? I
think that, just off subject a sec, I think that's probably happened then with the hotel stays. We spoke about it, not the big thing, but one of the things he's changed was before every home game, they used to stay in, I think it was the Hope Street Hotel. Yeah. Slot said, no, just stay at home with your family. I wonder whether that's the players have went, look, I wouldn't mind being at home with my bird, you know, if that's all right. And he's went, you know what, sound.
I know.
He's got that group of senior players that he goes to first, doesn't he? It's not just like the captain, it's like the core,
I think 5, it's 6. Salah, Mo, Trent, I think, isn't it?
Robbo's part of it as well.
One of the ones that the examples they give as well, but they're playing, I don't know, usually playing someone in Europe, and what they do in preparation to a lot of games is they'll set the under-21s up against the first team, put them in a system similar to what the opposition's going to play, and then they'll try things out. And there was one time, I think, where there's a winger who's playing for the opposition in Europe who drifts inside all the time on Trent's side. So he comes inside and Trent does something, like approaches him in a certain way, and he stops it and goes, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Well, I was thinking this." It's a good shout, actually. Go on, play on then. You know what I mean? And it's just like, because he stopped and went, "Well, that's not what we discussed," like to Trent, and he was like, "Well, what about this though?" I was thinking I was going to do this, and then maybe he tucks in and wins the ball off him. Sound, yeah, let's go with it.
And you know what? I mean, we won't talk about contracts anymore, but maybe those are the things that are going on in the players' head. Thinking if we're going to have like another, you know, authoritarian figure coming in, tell them it's my way or the highway. Maybe they might have been thinking, "Fuck this, I'm going to leave now. The Klopp era is gone." Whereas if they've got a manager going, "Look, lads, I'm open to your ideas as well." Maybe it's a good thing for players wanting to stay. I think what was great for me to see as well. How often do you see when there's a red card and he straight away just takes someone off and brings on
a defensive player to cover them and then just try and start
again? The fact he went, "No, fuck this, we'll ride it out, make some changes, get, like you say, get to half time." And you know what?
And again, as you say, he was tinkering loads of stuff. So when they got at half time, they go, "Look, we've already tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not going to work. Here's 6, 7, 8. Let's have a go with this."
Well, on the Monday Night Football, it was a 3-1-5, wasn't it? Yeah. I think it was. In the second half anyway, it was at least when
Gravenberch in front of the 3 and then just 5 players right on top of them.
It's mad, isn't it? And yeah, I thought, listen, before the game, naively thought 3 points, but given what happened, quite happy with a point. And Jota, what a finish, by the way. Even the pass from Núñez wasn't great, by the way. The pass into him was fucking shit. And he turns the man, finishes like probably the most natural finish I think we've had since like Fowler, I'd say. He's just like unbelievable, and I said it a few times now, when Jota's fit, Núñez does not get near that squad. Never mind the bench, the squad, because he's fucking shocking, Núñez. I'm sorry, he's fucking...
I've always been a fan of Jota as a footballer, and I think thing with him, I'm probably going to disagree a little bit on the Fowler front. I think he's lacking a little bit of composure. I think when it's tight and it's like boom boom, he's great, you know what I mean, and like
he has too much time.
Got an angle, yeah, sometimes he's got a bit too much time. I think he can be found wanting, whereas Fowler was just ice cold when he had time.
Yeah,
I agree, he's definitely for me the best finisher you've got in those areas, but I think again, look at Salah as well. You put Salah in that position, in a certain position. He's better finishing than
Salah, I think.
Do you think so?
Yeah,
I think he's got the array of finishes in terms of the different like tools in his bag. I don't think he's quite as composed as Salah.
I think anything in the box, if you just put the ball anywhere in the 18
he's a bit more of a predator.
I'd rather
as in, like, he gets more chances, doesn't he? Because he's in them positions. But
the other player as well, which me and Musk were talking about last night, was Harvey Elliott. I think I only kind of done a bit of Googling after the game. He's standing there with Tyler Morton, and the fella goes to what do you call him, the media guy, says to Harvey Elliott, what do you think? You know, a lot of young lads are coming to the team, they played great, didn't they? And Harvey says, yeah, you know, a lot of youngsters come into the team and have to gel, but we've done really well. And I'm looking at it, and I googled how old Harvey Elliott is. He's 21.
He's one of the youngest.
Tyler Morton's 22. Now, Tyler Morton has played, I think, 3 or 4 games for Liverpool. Harvey Elliott's played over 100. Like, I don't think he gets the respect, Harvey Elliott, at all. He's had a couple
he came to Liverpool having already played first team football, didn't he? Whereas
at 16
Tyler's had to try and break through into...
Yeah, but Harvey Elliott, he's had some really bad injuries, number one. He's having to try and get appearances in a team that's won absolutely everything there is to win.
No, I mean, point is, he's mature because he's been around senior players longer. Like, I'm not
digging out.
And I don't think personally... Listen, don't get me wrong, it's great that he's still so young. But again, it goes back to the Robertson point. The chances are he's probably going to die off when he's 28 because of the miles on the clock and the amount of exposure to men's football at that age.
Well, listen, it's a long way away now. I think for the time being, I just don't think he gets the respect he deserves. I think I've always been a fan of him. I think he's a great player, and I think to be a young lad in and around Klopp's kind of really dominant era where they've won everything, for him not to get sold was a big thing. So obviously, Klopp's seen something in him, and like I say, he's won everything he can. The new manager believes in him. He was unlucky, he got injured, but I think he's got a real part to play in Liverpool's future. I really like him, and I just don't think he gets spoken about enough. You could argue he's been injured, that's why he's not got spoken about, but over 100 appearances, you know, Tyler Morton gets spoken about arguably more as a potential.
No, I wouldn't say so. I would.
I mean,
outside the Liverpool circles, I wouldn't say so. I don't hear anyone, pundits, whatever, mention him when Tyler Morton's in the squad. Whereas it always raises an eyebrow when you see Harvey Elliott on the bench, Harvey Elliott in the team. He's an exciting player, and I think he gets people off the seat.
He does, yeah, I agree. But the Tyler Morton thing, I will put you on this. What was that game he played? Was it the League Cup or in one of the European competitions? Everyone's saying he had like slippers on, how good he was, and he was like doing this and doing that, and it was like, wow. Even Bagovic gets spoken about more than Harvey Elliott. Like, honestly,
but those players are getting talked about it as potential.
Yeah,
whereas when we're talking about
it's not
Elliott,
a surprise, is it?
We talk about Elliott as...
But he's younger.
I know, but
it's not the point is, again, going back to... Go on.
He was potential at 15. So people were talking about Harvey Elliott like that when he was like 15 at Fulham. Whereas we know he's a ultimate pro. He's been in and around first team squads for the last 5 years.
There's an unknown, like, although he might be older. I know what you're saying, it's a credit to him that he's become a household name.
Yeah, at 21.
And people think he's like 23, 24.
It's more that we just take for granted how young he is.
Yeah, maybe that's my point. That's where I've got a bit of a bugbear where I think he still needs his flowers now and again. Do you know what I mean? I think.
Just going back, obviously you said, good point and all that. and it is under the circumstances. Is there not a little bit of... it's a few draws now. We've gone from being at least 10 points clear at one point to, if Chelsea beat us at the weekend, you lose top spot.
What I will say though
is
I was never getting on the whole we're going to win the league. I was never fully on the train. I was kind of in the queue to buy me ticket.
No excitement, no.
It was excitement.
I remember distinctly remember going, I'm really enjoying this, because you were absolutely chedded.
Yes, but I wasn't like I say, I was in the queue ready to get me ticket. I weren't on the train. I was going to win the league. I was like, packing, my bags were packed, but I weren't like fully on board. And
look, you're still favourites. You're still in the box seat.
But it is mad to think, like, what was it, 12 points or something, or 10 or something, and then suddenly 4 with a game in hand or something, I think, whatever it is now.
It's 2 with the game in hand, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, because Chelsea can go top if they... Yeah.
It has been mad, and we'll come back onto, like, the League Cup in a minute, but, like, if we skip the League Cup and just jump ahead to the weekend, Spurs the weekend, it's a big game. I think we get this out the way, then there is a few easier fixtures, but Chelsea have been the big one for me. I think having that big squad, being able to rest so many players, obviously a decent manager who's got experience with Man City when they've been winning things, I think they're a real threat now. And the fact Newcastle was obviously disappointing to concede in the last minute, to play pretty much 90 minutes against 10 men, and was with 10 men only get a draw was frustrating. Listen, the wheels aren't falling off or nothing like that. Is it concerning? It's not ideal, is it? You would have rather have got 6 points rather than 2. I'm still excited about it, but yeah, I'm just still the same. Like, I'm not like, do you know what I mean?
Okay.
But on the League Cup, which was nice, it was one of those. It was good to see the likes of Salah, Gravenberch, Van Dijk all get a rest, because
first time he's done that, really.
Yeah. I said it last week to the lads. I said, God, like fucking rest. In when we played Girona, I said, fucking rest them. Like, we don't need to win the top of the Champions League group. Rest them. He played another strong team. We won, thankfully. But he played all the big guns. To actually see them all get a rest, which was great. Start for Trey. I don't know how you say his second name. Neone. Trey Neone. Endo. What a professional he is, by the way. Captain of Japan, comes in at centre back, man of the match.
That's a similar thing to what we were saying about Kelleher the other week. Like, I'm not saying he's happy with it, but he knows what his role is, and it's like, you come and do a job here. Yeah. Even at centre back last night, it's like, you come and do a job because you're going to be one of the senior players in this team for that particular game. Yeah. And he shows that he's the senior player in that team yesterday. Yeah,
I thought he was brilliant. Really, really impressive. Nunes gets on a score sheet. I'm still not overly impressed by him at all. I was a massive fan when he started, but I'm done with this captain chaos. Like, it's in the season when I think we were going for all 4, was it? And or we were going for the league. I can't remember what season it was, but he was missing so many chances, and everyone was like, "Yeah, it'll come good," and it fucking hasn't come good, has it? Let's be honest. I'm not sold on him now. I've gone completely the other way.
He looks less comfortable as well in this system with you know what I mean. I think the way he's played, fast on the break and utilising his pace in the channels and this, that and the other, not as effective anyway in the system. Obviously he scored last night.
We're asking him to use more football and ability,
which he hasn't got, and a brain
with his feet,
and you're having to move into different positions,
not
and whatever.
Play off the shoulder like we bought him for.
With the attributes he's got, using his football brain's probably the fucking lowest, by the way. He's fast, great. He's strong, yeah.
He's not clever, is he?
Is he fuck? And I think in that system he plays, he wants like a Jota, doesn't he? He wants like a clinical striker, and that couldn't be any further from the truth of what Nunes is, given how many times he needs to take a shot to score a goal. Fringe players that stood out. Well, Endo, he's a fringe player, isn't he? I thought he was great. I thought, not a fringe player, but I thought Gakpo kind of stood up as well, played well. The senior pros that were still in the team, I thought done great. The fact that Kelleher is our second keeper, I think is brilliant. I really rate him.
I think it was a good sprinkle of like senior players throughout the team, rather than like, so every like academy or fringe player that came in, they had someone
alongside them
to help them out.
It was like 5 and 5 almost, wasn't it, type thing. So and listen, it's great that through that now into the semi-final, awaiting either Newcastle, Arsenal, and then Man United, Spurs tonight. Ahead to Spurs then at the weekend. I think it's good that they're playing a day after us and they're playing United as well. Spurs are one of those clubs that need to win a cup, aren't they? I'd probably say Spurs and Newcastle are probably on the same kind. I think of them two very similar. Do you know what I mean? Massive clubs, massive stadiums.
But don't win silverware.
Yeah, don't win fuck all. So I think they probably will go really at it tonight. They know they're not going to win the league, don't they? I'm hoping Spurs really put a strong team out tonight, and that can only benefit us at the weekend, given that we've rested everyone. Be a tough game, won't it? I say tough in the sense that we could easily win fucking 12-0.
It depends on what Spurs turn up as well.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
Yeah.
It's crazy how inconsistent they are.
Like they beat City, what was it, 3-0?
It's going to be goals in that game. I can't see anything but goals at both ends. But obviously, I think usually they'll still come out on top, but they are just a mad team.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. And the other little twist is Chelsea play before that game, then, which could go top. And it'll be the first time for a while where Liverpool haven't been top. Will that then affect mentality and things that, be an interesting one. I do expect us to win, but actually, you know what? I don't. I do, because I think we win every game. Do you know what I mean? I have confidence in us, but like you say, a couple of draws last few weeks. The way just Spurs is so erratic. Their manager scares me.
I think the game, the other performance and the results against Chelsea would give you encouragement in terms of how messy it was. It wasn't like a they played well for 90 minutes and they were just up and down the whole game. And I just think those points where they are, switching off or whatever, I just think usually punish them.
Listen, I hope so, but I just mean he's so erratic, the manager, in the sense that, what did he do? What was that first game of the season? He just put everyone up front when they were playing Chelsea last season.
They were down to 9 men, didn't come off to the...
So,
he went 2-0 up against Chelsea though as well, didn't he?
He's got something in him where he can just do mad stuff. Hopefully he doesn't, and hopefully it's 3 points. Chelsea do play beforehand, and they play you, but before we come on to that, we'll talk about your surprise point at Arsenal.
It was a surprise, yeah.
We both kind of almost laughed at your chances, really, didn't we? Which we had good reason to. Arsenal have beat Everton more than any other team in the Prem. Had egg on our face, were you happy with the performance?
I wasn't happy with the performance. I was happy with the points, and I guess, I'm contradicting myself, that was the only way we were going to get a point. So if you said, okay, Everton announced the majority takeover of the freaking group, that was good timing.
That my flash score just popped.
It's just gone on my watch. We'll come on to that in a minute. But yeah, it was another... I mean, look, it could have easily been on another day where, Arsenal take one of their earlier chances. It could have been a bloodbath, but we've got away with a point. I think it was the only way we were going to get a point. It was the only way we were going to get a result. I was speaking on our podcast on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday. You never know what day it is over Christmas, do you?
That's already.
And I was saying, I was just a bit disappointed with the lack of ambition when you get to the 60th, 65th minute. Arsenal looked like they'd run out of gas. They'd made a few changes. There was nothing coming. There was no real, onslaught from them. And it was just nothing. You'd see the managers desperately trying to pull the players back and stop them from trying to counter. It was just... So is this
your mindset does baffle me, I mean, Evertonians, in the sense that you think the fact.
No, I'm not being greedy. It was a great point. I just think it's like...
It sounds a little bit greedy.
It's not greedy. It's not greedy at all. The thing is, and I'm surprised you don't... you do feel this way, and Slot has shown that he feels this way. A point in any league is, it's not... 3 points, if you get loads of draws in a league, you're going to miss out, whether it's missing out on staying up or missing out on Europe, because, 1 win versus... and 2 draws, you know what I mean? So as it averages out, if you go for wins, you're generally going to get more points. Now, it wasn't necessarily the fact that we didn't get a win against Arsenal at all, but it's that mentality that we've seen against Brentford at home when there's down to 10 men, not taking a risk. And I'm not talking about, going over the top, just a calculated risk. Okay, well, bros, you just come on, just leave him on the last man. Give us a chance if we get the ball. We're getting the ball, giving it right back to them, when actually there wasn't a lot coming our way. And I think...
You'd like to have seen just a little bit more.
Even we get a corner with 5 minutes to go, 2 players going up. It's like, come on.
Was that how it was?
Yeah, it was just like, it was...
I'll let you off then.
It was just for... Look, great point, and credit to him, it was a great point. We kept a clean sheet at the Emirates. It's no mean feat. We've outdone... you've seen all the memes this week. He's outdone, it was like the old timer against the Apprentice in terms of set pieces. They didn't get a sniff against us. But yeah, I mean, we've just seen the news of the new owners coming in. It's just going to be so interesting how quickly they pull the trigger.
Really? You think it's a done deal?
Again, I've said it last week, and I reiterated it on our podcast. It depends where they see how quickly they're going to adjust the whole structure. If they bring in a new director of football straight away, he's gone. There's no 2 ways about it.
I think it'd be too dangerous,
We'll see. It depends on that appointment, doesn't it? Again, I don't know.
Who do you bring in as well? That's the other big thing.
As in the director of football,
the new manager.
Well, there are a few candidates out there
that you'd fully expect to take Everton on. And take them, number one, survive in the Prem. What manager straight away? If you could have a,
well, it depends.
Don't say Ancelotti either.
No, it depends if you can spend a bit of money in January, doesn't it?
I just think there's huge pressure for any new manager.
No, there is, Everton. And it again, we go back to that mentality. They're going to be, conservative and get to the end of the season. I wouldn't be disappointed by that. I think what's interesting about this ownership, they've said nothing. They've literally kept quiet in the background. So that suggests to me maybe they're going to be a bit more pragmatic about the situation and go, let's assess it. But again, if you knew it's a bit like buying a new house, isn't it? If you bought that house, you've agreed the price, you've got that 3-month wait that you have in this country where the solicitors are just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
But you're planning, aren't you? I'm going to do this in the living room. I'm going to, you're getting a price for this, a price for that. There's no way they haven't been doing that in the background, so it'll be interesting.
Good analogy, that lad, yeah.
How quickly they start, refurbishing the house, so to speak, and bringing in new carpets or a new sofa or whatever it is, or if they just go, let's leave it as it is for 12 months. Let's see if the interest rates go up and down, and then we'll assess the position. But it's exciting. I mean, good that we've got the news on the actual confirmation. But
it's confidence boost getting a point away at Arsenal. Confidence boost now with it all being confirmed going into, which is obviously another tough game against Chelsea. Yeah,
absolutely. And I don't think the mentality or the approach will be much different. But he's not going to get away with that. That approach for 90 minutes against Chelsea at Goodison. You just won't. And look, we may get. I think, no one would be against us sitting back, being conservative, waiting for our opportunities. Absolutely, I'm not condoning us going toe to toe with Chelsea because we will get battered. But it's just when you have got the opportunity and there are set pieces or there are moments in the game where the opposition's clearly having a few minutes off. Just have something to try and punish that, and that's the bit that's, I think, just really great on fans. It's like there's no idea, even if there is an opportunity, the players don't either seem to be able to exploit it, haven't got the tools to exploit it, or are not allowed to exploit it. But yeah, good point, and again, a similar game this weekend in terms of us going to have little to none of the ball, and I'm going to have to try and feed off scraps.
I think that, I'm not saying Arsenal have got no attacking threats, clearly they have, but I mean, they have been scoring a lot of goals from set pieces. I think where Chelsea differ is they've got a lot of options, a lot of ball players. Cole Palmer, I think Fernandes is playing well the last few weeks as well. I think that'll be the big difference.
A huge positive for us, just before we move past Everton, has been that just the solidity in that back seven, if you call it now. He's brought Mangala in alongside Guy, and you've got two proper industrious defensive midfielders who can tackle. They're not wasteful with the ball. They're energetic. They get up and down the pitch. And obviously having Branthwaite and Tarkowski back together, Ashley Young, fair play to him, said it a few times. He's been exceptional. And I just
mad even just to even talk about him.
It is, but you've just got that experience, that back four. You've got a left back who's comfortable. He's probably more comfortable playing inside as a centre back. You've got Ashley Young, who's obviously got decades of experience. Tarkowski and Branthwaite. For me on the day, and I'm not being dramatic here, probably in the top 5 partnerships in the Premier League in terms of the what they've got, how they complement each other. And again, Pickford made some great saves.
You look at the clean sheets that he's had last season, do you know what I mean? It suggests that, what you just said.
And I think he's been struggling to find a formula. We've obviously lost an Arne. Branthwaite's been out, and I think since the start of the season up until now, he hasn't had a solid base. Now he's got that, I think, and the fans can see that. We look comfortable defending. It's like, all right, we can do that now. Just fucking give us something going the other way.
So I think he's though. It's personnel going forward. I mean, he's just. I always wondered about, like, in Everton's kind of mindset of the players individually. The way Dyche is a very defensive-minded manager. Players, when you do it properly, like you did against Arsenal, working for each other, all fighting and keeping a clean sheet. I wonder if there is that little bit of, like, kind of almost, frustration, but I mean, like, they're almost in-house fighting with the defensive players to the attacking players, like going, are you taking the fucking piss? Like, we've had to fucking, do you know what I mean, sweat blood and tears for 90 minutes.
And you get it and you just give it away.
And you either one can't hold it up, or you two, you can't finish.
They'll know though. I mean, there was a good chance at the weekend. Corey had a good chance and he completely fluffed his lines. But
it's like, we used to have a thing in Afghan, it'd be like, we need to get lucky on a 6-month tour for 6 months. Like, you need to be lucky for 6 months to not die, right? The Taliban need to be lucky once. And it's like, user playing games, like, usually to be lucky for 90 minutes, not concede. And he only needs to be lucky once and score. It's like, and you can't. I think there's be a little bit of unrest in the team that it's like, lads, fucking just need to start scoring goals here, because, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's fair enough,
And then, on the takeover then, exciting news. It will just be interesting, won't it, now, next few weeks, especially with the January transfer.
Yeah, I mean, I listen, going into Christmas, it'd be mad, wouldn't it, bringing in a new director, and it's not going to happen. It's probably going to be the turn of the year, but I think the statements, they're going to start speaking now, aren't they? There's going to be some, whether it's a press conference or a statement from the club, or from them via the club, So I think the next few days, to a certain extent, will be telling. It'll also be interesting to see if there's anything at Goodison the weekend, whether someone comes out from their end, whether there's anyone in the stands that is of interest, i.e. a new prospective director of football. But yeah, exciting. It's been a while because of this lingering Moshiri thing that's been going on for 18 months, the PSR stuff. It's been a while since we've been able to be optimistic about things off the pitch. Obviously, the stadium has been a beacon of light, but then it's the debt that's been that debt's now gone. They've cleared that.
It's been a shadow though, hasn't it? Like this beacon of light, it's been a fucking...
Oh yeah, it's been in
like,
the shadows.
Sometimes you look up and you see like a dead, cloudy sky, but there's like a little hole in the cloud, and it's just like one bit of light coming through. That's all it's been. Whereas now, that cloud seems to disappear. I saw on your Across the Park podcast, you talking about kind of Moshiri's legacy, if you like. And you made a good point. We brought Ancelotti in, and there was a couple of, although being at the COVID season, there was a couple of glimpses where you think, wow, what do you think in general Moshiri's kind of legacy will be at Everton? To most fans,
scatty and indecisive and lack of leadership, not necessarily, and from him at times, but mainly from no structure, no strategy. But again, as I said a few times on our podcast, he gave us that stadium. There's been several boards, owners, chairmen, namely Bill Kenwright, who's tried for years to try and get a stadium. Goodison's 30 years or 40 years out of date at least. The rest of the teams in the Premier League have left us behind from a corporate perspective and in terms of the income at the stadium. That, if there's anything he could have given us, and that's a huge boost for the club, but he almost effed that up as well. So you can't give him credit for that, but you've got to go, listen.
It's such an interesting one, isn't it? Because you think like in years to come, let's say you have, cemented yourself back into the top half of the Prem, say top 6, top 8, in that new stadium, and it's all singing, all dancing. I wonder if any Everton fans will go, fucking nice one, Moshiri.
I mean, look, you can't... If he wouldn't have come in, that wouldn't be there. There's no two ways about it. It was his first thing, we're going to get Everton a new stadium, and he set to work straight away. And I think it was within 18 months that site was secured, and it took a while to get going, and there was all kinds of crap around it, but he was persistent with that, because let's be honest, he knew that was the only way the club was going to kick on. It was never going to kick on at Goodison Park in terms of the revenue we need, particularly from a PSR perspective. We can never keep up, we never will keep up until on a regular basis all those corporate boxes are sold, and you've got your concert to the end of the stadium and in the breaks and stuff, which will definitely be a priority as well. So yeah, listen, off the pitch it was a mess in terms of the football management off the pitch, but to some extent, there was people behind the scenes that there was a structure in terms of.
I think, lad, you heard it here first. I think Moshiri would be a bit like Van Gogh, only appreciated.
I'm not sure.
50 years later.
There's no Van Gogh, mate.
Van Gogh, I seen my little girl, done something about him in school, and she was the one who told me, like, apparently his work didn't come, like, his work was out there, and just everyone thought it was shite for like 200 years. And then someone was like, wow, who's fucking painted this? And
abstract.
Then, yeah, and then so he became like most art or musicians were great well after they're gone. So
yeah, I wouldn't be putting you in that sense. It's going to take a while to appreciate how poorly you managed that club. Right.
Anything else on Liverpool and Everton, boys?
No.
Right. You had your little analogy before about the house, which I thought was quite interesting. I won't go on about him too much because I think it's known now how much I fucking hate Pep Guardiola. But I've got an analogy on him. So obviously City, 1 win in the last 11 games. The last 7 games would leave them 19th. Right? This whole debate, and it will rage on and rage on and rage on, who's the greatest manager and all that. Do you know what I'd describe it like if you're going to give like a little funny Christmas time analogy? Everyone's got the Crimbo traditions, haven't they? Mm-hmm. Imagine, right, you go round to your nan and granddads or whatever, there's like 15, 20 of you in the family, and you go, fucking Uncle Gary there, he wins Monopoly every year. It's a Christmas-like tradition, he just always wins. And you're like, fucking hell, really, has he?
Sounds about right, though.
Do you know what I mean? But it's true, though, isn't it? All families will have these little things. And let's say, like, there's a new, someone's boyfriend's here for the first time, and then they're like, oh, Gary, he always wins every year. He's won it for the last 25 years. And you're like, on paper, you're like, wow, he's fucking great at Monopoly, him. But then when you delve a little deeper, Uncle Gary starts Monopoly with Mayfair, Park Lane, and the 4 train stations, and that's just how the game starts. That's Pep's legacy. You know what I mean? And I think now is the first time this Christmas you went, right, Uncle Gary, we're starting on a level playing field, right? We're all just going to start the same. And that's what's happening to Pep now. They went, you know what, Pep, you're just going to have the same amount of shit that every other manager has.
Yeah, because the last 2 years they haven't been able to spend, have they? They've sold some of their assets, they had to sell Alvarez, they had to sell Palmer.
And they've had a few injuries, and he's going through what every manager goes through in his career, and he's managed what? Barca, Munich, and City, and he's never actually been through anything like this, which is what every other manager has to go through. So I think this is Uncle Gary and Pep's first Christmas.
How was it Uncle Gary? I was quite happy with it, winning Monopoly every year, and then it's
now it's tainted. Your winning Monopoly tradition is stopped. Maybe it will stop for you actually this year Christmas.
We actually don't play Monopoly.
And I think that's the analogy you've got for Pep, and he's in this thing now where, like you say, is he getting? I mean, listen, he has got credit in the bank on paper because of what he's won, and I'm not doubting he's not a great. I'm not saying he's not a great manager, by the way. Clearly, I respect that he's won, but I'm just not on the fucking gravy train with him. Like, would any other manager be sacked by now? I mean, is he just relying solely on credit in the bank?
I wouldn't say any other manager. Ferguson, for example, wouldn't have been sacked in this position at United, would he? He'd have been like, it's a transition, blah, blah, blah. Mourinho has had that kind of patch, but Mourinho never had that prolonged period at a club, did he? I think he probably has a similar patch at Chelsea and did get sacked.
Has there been, should have maybe looked at the stats, has there been a manager of that ilk that has had such a poor run? I can't think of one on the top of my head.
No, I don't think Ferguson had a run as bad as this. Certainly don't think Arsene Wenger did. You got to look at managers of longevity, haven't you?
I think the ones who've been around for a while. Klopp, Mourinho, Wenger, Ferguson,
Benitez probably to some extent.
I don't think any of them have had a run like this. And not only
I don't even think David Moyes had a run this bad.
But not only have they not had a run like this, but they never had a squad like this either. And they're still having a run like this. It's fucking bizarre. It is. I mean,
bizarre. Obviously you're going to come on to the United game in a sec. You just seeing him going to his knees and just being like, no, how's this happened?
You could almost see it in slow motion, couldn't he? He was almost, I don't know if anyone's seen a photo, it was him and I think Kyle Walker had their hands on the
background.
Head. Yeah, in the background. I mean, so on that then, coming on to United, I mean, spoke about the slump City, and that's probably the worst it can get now, isn't it? I don't think it can get any worse than that now.
No.
At home, in a derby, last minute. You win 1-0, 87th minute, and somehow lose 2-1. I think...
Proper Everton, though. Honestly, I was speaking to a City fan this week, and he was like, you can't imagine how... I said, behave.
Yeah.
That's happened several times to us, losing in the last minute to Liverpool, or being ahead and losing, or
The negative thing is, though, now it probably can only get better. It can't get any worse than that for them, can it?
It can. If United take over them, it gets a lot worse for that club. If Amarin's obviously...
As in, sorry, I mean the next few games and stuff, City surely bounce back now. It doesn't get any worse than that.
We've been saying after the last 5 weeks, though.
The only good news for you, I guess, is you've already picked them in the last man, because I know you'd be thinking, pick City this weekend. And I was looking at it, and you've already picked City. I think you picked them in the first week, because I'm out. And I
made the fucking stupid fucking mistake of saying to Gary, I'll go arse with him, and fucking Gary goes out in the first week. Which I fucking never said nothing now.
You shouldn't have said it on the podcast as well, because I don't think that's allowed, is it?
Is it not?
I think it's bad form. That's why I didn't say it.
But I just think the next few games, I'm not sure who City have got. City have got Villa. Wow, another tough game to be fair.
I think every game looks tough. I know that as a fan of a team that loses a lot of games, every game looks tough when you.
I will agree though. I think this season, every game, I think every weekend, because you've got those kind of mid-table, on paper mid-table teams.
There's a big mid-table, I think, this year in terms of there's a big group of teams that you think they're actually not that bad.
Yeah.
And then
which has been great, by the way.
Yeah, it's good for the league.
I've enjoyed it. Seeing that teams are beating each other. And then so then on to United. I've been quite impressed with Amarin. His first couple of 3 weeks has he been in? 2 or 3 weeks. I think big call leaving out Garnacho and Rashford, isn't it? And I think if they don't turn that round and win...
How good's Diallo looks? Obviously he gets the goals the weekend, but Neville was saying it throughout the game, he's the only player here. He looks like he's got a bit extra.
He was good against Hughes as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Was he? He's playing for Sunderland, wasn't he, years ago?
Diallo's on loan at Sunderland, yeah.
Yeah, no, he looks great, but I think everyone's given Amarin his plaudits, which he deserves. You know, he made a big decision leaving out Garnacho and Rashford. I'm just thinking, if that game does stay 1-0, listen, it's a huge if and but if it does stay 1-0,
I don't think that's it. I think
are there big questions over him leaving Garnacho out now?
Nah, I don't think so. I think
they haven't been playing well enough to go, well, what if they were in that team? It still would have been just as shit if they would have got beat.
You know, he's gone to his back three, which was the formation he played at Sport, and he put Harry Maguire in. Harry Maguire looked decent, by the way. And I think I've always said, if you play him in a three and you have two players either side who are fairly mobile, then I think he's okay, because he's so good in the air. It's like he's like an asset. Don't get me wrong.
He is a presence, isn't he?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think at some point he will be replaced. It remains to be seen in the summer, but yeah, as you say, he's made some brave calls, and I wouldn't say they looked great at the weekends, but the game plan was spot on. City weren't exactly banging the door down.
No.
You know, they had chances, but Haaland didn't have a sniff.
No.
Didn't do nothing.
Seen a stat, I don't think he even touched the ball in the first half or something, or it was a handful of touches.
I think he only touched the ball like twice in the box or something like that in the whole game.
And Roy Keane got a bit of shit, didn't he? Saying, like, you know, was
the League Two thing.
Yeah, the League Two. He's a League Two player, obviously, in his general football. And I think the more City kind of play, not the way we're used to, it kind of feeds into that statement, really, doesn't it?
He looks like a player who, if it was any other team, any other player to some extent, he'd have been rested, dropped, whatever it was. They just can't drop him because they've got no one else.
No one else, yeah. And he'd be getting slagged in the media, wouldn't he? He doesn't do nothing for the team, he doesn't chase back, he doesn't link up play.
Still second leading goal scorer in the Prem.
So I can totally see the two different arguments for him, saying, oh, he's great, you've got to have him, he's the greatest finisher. But then also I can see, what the fuck's the point? 'Cause if you're not playing well and you're not even getting the ball in the box to him, he actually doesn't bring nothing, does he?
It is, again, don't want to compare him to Nunes, because he's by far better on paper and numbers and all that, but when he's getting asked to do different things than he was last year, all of those things are showing. So he was playing off the shoulder, he was just knocking the ball and running past people, he was out-muscling people, and he looked like an absolute machine. Now that you're asking him to drop in and help out, like build up play and all that, he isn't that good. There's been videos of them doing rondos before the game, and he's just like passing it back to the lads in the middle and stuff.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Not seeing that. Even things like, I can't remember what game it was, but Nunes done a block, didn't he, like the last minute, and he's like, and there was a corner come in, he heads it away, and it's like, you don't see that from Haaland really, do you?
No.
Like those defensive duties and really getting everyone going and stuff and that. So yeah, if he's not scoring, he doesn't bring fuck all to that team. At the weekend, so you got Villa, City, Palace, Arsenal, Leicester, Wolves, obviously Usyk against Chelsea, us against Spurs. So there's a lot of big games there, which
both ends of the table,
on paper all tough to call really as well, aren't
they?
Mate, we'll finish off on the darts, because the big thing I'm excited with is the boxing.
We will finish on the darts, we'll do the darts and then go on to the boxing.
You want to do darts now?
Yeah, finish on the boxing, I think.
Go on then, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to...
It's only just warming up
in the first few days. I mean, the only thing I'm gutted, because I said, because outside was Mike Decker, he's already out. Poor first round performance. I think what you find in the first or second round is like, you do get the odd shock, certainly, with some of the players that are coming in who maybe haven't got as much of a reputation. A lot of players who maybe haven't got a ranking, or who've come in as like wild cards from certain countries, which they've done that this year.
I thought that was interesting, because on paper I had a little bet, and there was an American who was playing, and the
Leonard Gates
might have been.
Leonard Gates is quite established, like.
But what they were saying is he hadn't got a rank because he doesn't play as many tournaments in the UK.
It can't be Leonard Gates then, no, because Leonard Gates has got a ranking.
Well, there was one of them, and he didn't have a ranking, and he was playing against number like 50 in the world or something, and I thought, well, this guy.
That was yesterday, wasn't it?
It was the last couple of days, but so anyway, I thought, this American's a no mark, and the American won. And then when I listened to it afterwards, he said, "Oh, listen, you know what it was? It was Barry Hearn on TalkSport. It was." And he was saying, look, he plays a lot, he's a great player, he doesn't play enough to get a ranking, but he is good, like, so, yeah, you know, you do get those shocks, don't you? And definitely. It's only three sets as well, isn't it? So
yeah, but I mean, you say it's only 3 sets, but it's still a lot of legs. You're talking probably between minimum 10 legs, maybe 15, 18 or whatever, because it's, you know, could be up to 5 legs a set.
Yeah.
So if it finishes 3-2 and there's 5 legs in every set, it's 25 legs. So it can swing so quickly. The point is, like, there's been quite a few games in the first and second round where the outsider wins the first set, but the underlying averages, you're looking at it thinking that top player can't play any worse. So again, what's Boss I think if you're just sitting in the house and you want to play around with £10, you can get loads of value out of in play.
Yeah.
So if you're watching a darts match and you look at the stats and the top player's average is really low in the first set, there's no way a top player is playing that bad for the whole match. Yeah. But if the averages are both quite high, then there's chances the underdog's probably gonna, probably gonna keep that up.
I seen Luke Humphries was like through in about like 15 minutes or something. Might not even have been that.
Just so efficient, and he's got he's had such a period of rest now. So the advantage you get by being the champ, playing on the first night against the no-mark, he wins, gets about 4 or 5 days off, and it happens again now. I think the next time he plays is maybe the 23rd, and then he's off again to like the 28th or something. So the way that the draw goes is a big advantage. Like Gary Anderson has got the easiest run he could possibly have, which is why he was such a short price. Luke Littler plays on Saturday. I think it's against Ryan Meikle, who knocked out Fallon Sherrick.
Yeah.
Fallon Sherrick put up a good performance.
She was, to be fair. Yeah, she was unlucky, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was.
At one point she was going to go through.
Yeah, but I mean, he'll brush him aside. But you know what? It's interesting, and he has dealt with everything so far in terms of that pressure. But he's the favourite. Being favourite for the World Championships is huge. I do. Humphries isn't the favourite though.
He's not?
No. Littler's the favourite.
Nah.
It's Humphries for me because he's just so efficient and he's so like...
I felt sorry for Humphries, like when Littler kind of had his rise and everyone was on the Littler train. Like I got it and it was great to see, a 16-year-old do it. But I don't think Humphries got his flowers.
Well, the Players' Championship a few weeks ago, they met in the final. Humphries beat him.
Yeah, I do fancy Humphries for it.
Psychological advantage.
Humphries spoke all about him the other day though. He was saying like... I'm aware he's
a natural talent.
He's more popular than me. His rise, he's got the followers and all that. He's like, I'm just here to have a good time on the journey with him.
And he constantly says, like, whenever he beats him, he goes, look, I'm made up to beat him because I know that next year it's not going to happen, or like it's my time. Yeah, 34, 35.
You think though he can play for another 15 years?
He can, but it's just a fact that Luke Littler is so good and he's only going to get better.
He's 10 years younger than him.
And
that will just be a rivalry though. That'll just...
Yeah, well, that's what he said. He said, look, I enjoy the
sport, isn't it?
It's great for the sport. They know that, and I think the more top players and personalities, which Luke Littler has become a personality, that are around there, it just benefits the rest of the players because it makes that pot bigger.
Well, like you say, even just from you as well, and Littler, there's so many names now where you're looking and you're like, oh, can I recognise that name? I've had a few little flutters the last few days and done all right as well, but yeah, looking forward to it now with Crimbo. And New Year. Right, last segment of the show, unless you've got any more.
No. It's just looking at the games today. There's not a lot today. It's a lot of the, again, a lot of those qualifiers and stuff coming up against kind of middle of the road players. Michael Smith plays tonight. Obviously former champ from a couple of years ago. The rest of them are, yeah, not much. Right,
boxing then. This is, I know I slag boxing quite a lot. Rightly so, I think. I would, present itself a lot of the time, but this time, not got a bad word. Well, actually,
you have.
There has bad. Yeah, there is bad.
McGrail. Not about Peter McGrail, but as
even when I try to be positive about it, there obviously is. Yeah, a bit close to home for us as well. It's the big one in Riyadh. It's Usyk against Fury. We'll touch on that first.
No, touch on the other ones first and probably finish on that.
Okay, so a bit closer to home then. Liverpool's home. Okay, start that then. Allen against Fisher. I don't know much about this.
David Allen, like, I wouldn't say... He come on the scene kind of quite exciting 10 years ago. Struggles with his weight.
He's had been hit to his head, and he was talking about him, he was slurring his words and stuff. Is that him?
No, I don't think so.
I'm sure it was,
He was thinking about retiring.
He did retire.
A good while ago, yeah.
Retired 3 or 4 years ago, and then come back and basically said I wasn't taking the sport seriously. Basically, he was one of them. He's always been talented, but he never really put the work in camp, admittedly. Lost a couple of times, going back 5 years ago. Reputation dropped. Started to get the reputation of being a bit of a, party animal and someone who didn't take the sport seriously. Retired, went into coaching, and then has kind of come back into the sport. I think he got asked to do a fight 3 years ago.
It's a scary sport to do that with, though, innit? It's not like bricklaying. You go, I've not done it for a while, I'm going to jump back in it.
But again, admittedly for him, he's talented. It wasn't, he hasn't got the talent. He just wasn't putting the work in. But Johnny Fisher is, or nicknamed the Romford Bull, he's famously said that David Allen was my idol. Like growing up, he was a local lad similar to me. He's kind of half mentored me. He's always supported me on my journey. It was a dream. He fought him, didn't he? Johnny Fisher fight him, and
sure.
he beat him, and then David Allen's had a longer camp this time. He fought someone his last fight, David Allen, where it was quite close. I don't think it was Johnny Fisher. To look that up. It was similar to Johnny Fisher, but it was a young lad, and it was the first time I think for a while that he put a bit of work in the camp. But again, he looks in great shape here, and Johnny Fisher's is quite a big personality, like David Allen was growing up, but a much bigger lad. So it'll be a big challenge for him.
Big support
Who was he for last time?
Dave Allen.
Yeah.
So his last fight was Buchetta.
Who was it before that?
He fought Fraser Clark last
Fraser
year.
Clark, that was it.
Yeah, he got beat by Fraser Clark.
It was the 8th, 7th or 8th. He sat down the stool and then came back. Fraser Clark it was. So it was similar. Fraser Clark's obviously a level above Johnny Fisher, but he gave him a tough time for a few rounds. But he said himself, and Eddie Hearn said as well, this is the best camp he's had in a while, and he looks in good nick. And it'll be a really good fight, because he's not going to, stand back. He's going to go in front. Johnny Fisher, it'll be interesting to see what he's got about him.
Be interesting as well, the support. He's got 300-400 people over from Romford to see Fisher.
He's big for Matchroom, Fisher.
Yeah.
So like they need him to win, because he's one of the cash cows for
without doubt
selling tickets. Like if you can shift 300-400 tickets going to Saudi.
I'm just thinking, though, it's not renowned for having the good atmospheres, isn't it? And if you're taking 300-400 over, it's not like they're going to Vegas. It's going to be interesting to see if that. Because that's one thing you can knock Saudi for. They haven't got the atmospheres, have they, in the arena? So it'll be interesting to see if...
Maybe it stands out more. Their little pocket or whatever.
Well, that's what I mean. Hopefully it does, I'm saying, because it's normally quite subdued, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right, the big story point then in Liverpool anyway this week, especially with invested interest with Moshiri, was Peter McGrail versus Dennis McCann is off, thanks to adverse findings in Dennis McCann's urine sample. The B sample's been sent off, but either way, it's obviously cancelled the fight. I looked on Dennis McCann's Instagram not long after it. I haven't seen it the last few days, but he just seemed to be a thing with his missus going on holiday and didn't seem overly bothered.
No, that story was him going to Saudi on the Friday.
Was he?
That was him. He was in the car going to the airport, going to Saudi.
After the drugs test?
No.
Before.
This was like Friday morning. He posted on a story. I don't follow him, weirdly enough, but I don't know whether he's posted anything since.
Oh, I thought he posted that after. Anyway, either or, hugely disappointing, isn't it? Like, because it was Dennis McCann training in the Rotunda. Although he's not a Scouser, it was a bit of a battle of Liverpool. James really won it, and just proper disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, horrible, and obviously for Peter and his camp and all their family and their gym, it's not nice that, because fortunately, and we'll come on to it, they found a more than able opponent, and it's still going to be a tough fight, and at least Peter's camp's going to be rewarded with a fight, and again a fight against an unbeaten opponent. But this could have been the making. I say not that it's not going to make him, but you know what I mean. It could have been give him a really platform,
it's a statement fight,
real recognition, big statements, and he's believed, as he said throughout it, that he'll beat him and beat Dennis McCann comfortably and whatever, and he's not got the chance to show that. So in a weird way, you now hope. It sounds mad. You now hope that B sample is also positive, because if it's negative, it's like, hold on, it wasn't. You know what I mean? And it's like I've been robbed of that fight, and I don't know. It's shit.
I just think as well, for anyone who's listen, Peter's obviously got a huge following already, but anyone who's maybe a bit of a fair weather boxing fan or a fair weather Liverpool boxing on the scene, to have those two gyms, the Rotunda and Everton Triangle, to going at it. It gets you invested anyway, because people will know people from both gyms, and it's all going, and it's all great, and then out there in Saudi and everything like that, and then to have that just taken away, it's just fucking. I'm gutted, because anyone who's maybe not on Peter's train will have saw this fight and thought, fucking hell, because let's face it, it's one of the best cards in Riyadh, isn't it? One of the biggest ones, and to have Peter on it against someone else in Liverpool from a Liverpool gym, it had all the makings, and
even though it's not a Matchroom v Queensbury card, it was a Matchroom v Queensbury fight. Which again added a little bit more.
It always adds a bit of spice to it, doesn't
it? Eddie Hearn has been relatively professional about it, and obviously this is on the back of the Conor Pence situation. He's obviously got to be very careful what he says, and just interesting, isn't it, to know how. I think Tony Bellew done something, didn't he, years ago as well, and it's like, it's people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. It's like you've almost got to be very careful what you say now. a bit like in football with the Saudi money about what Jordan Henderson found with the gay stuff. And he's saying like, oh, you know, I support, you know, gay rights. And then years later, the money's there and things change. Eddie Hearn, I think, and well, every promoter's got to be, any time a drugs kind of issue or problem comes out,
and keep your mouth just in case you're a fighter in that position next time. Yeah.
Exactly that. Yeah.
And look on the other side of the coin. Obviously being slightly biased towards Peter McGrail. If it was genuinely, you know, what I haven't heard any of the explanation or supposed explanation. Maybe they're staying away from that because they don't know. But if it is genuinely an adverse finding which wasn't his fault or whatever, then that's disappointing for him as well. But overall, it's just crap. That just shouldn't be, as you know, it's giving you more ammo around the box. That shouldn't be the story here.
No.
And it's so disappointing for it to happen so late in the day because, you know, the opponent that he's got, Welsh lad, isn't it, Rhys Edwards? No mug, and he's fighting at a slightly higher weight as well.
Yeah, so Peter's got to go up a weight because it's so short notice. They can't like force Rhys to come down, so Peter can go up instead.
Which again is not easy. And
it's just shit for Peter, isn't it? Because he's going in there fully prepped. He's had what, 12 week camp.
Well, just think, even like sparring and stuff. You're sparring someone who's got a similar style to the person who you're meant to be fighting. Now, one thing that he did say in one of his interviews this week was that he's kind of used to not knowing too much about opponents because of his amateur background. Yeah. So like he can win one fight on a Friday and you fight someone else
on the Saturday.
Yeah. So like he's adaptable in that sense. His amateur pedigree will help him out in that.
And it's a 12-round fight, isn't it?
I'll double.
Was it 10?
I think
could be 10. Even if it's 10, you know, with that you're fighting amateurs. You're fighting maybe 3 rounds or whatever. You've got a long time to adjust and adapt.
Figure it out. Yeah.
And you would expect the class to come through in that sense. So.
And Nick Ball's even come out and saying he's been in the best shape and focus he's seen from Peter as well. So obviously he's done the hard work.
He's in ridiculous Nick. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think also as well, like from the McCann point of view, I know I've just mentioned about Fisher being like a big cash cow potentially for Matchroom, but for Queensbury, if they potentially have to lose McCann for either a couple of years because he's pled guilty or whatever, I don't really know how it works, or they end up just, he has that reputation where they don't make anywhere near as much money as they could.
And he can't make fights because people are going, no, we're not fighting.
Exactly. So like, he's one of their golden boys that they've been pushing for a good few years, and I'm not saying cherry picking his fights, but giving him a nice route to build up his profile nicely. This was a big test for him. Taking me cousin aside from it, if he does well in that fight, then Queensbury, like, yeah, we've made the right decision by putting so much time and effort into him here. And
Dennis McCann hasn't got the name like Conor Benn, where he's got a money fight. No one's throwing big money fights at Dennis McCann if he's got this stigma of being a drugs cheat as well. So, yeah, big shame. But listen, Peter, obviously goes out saying, Peter wins. But the only bad thing I'll say about Peter was that public walkout. Spirit of the Blues coming out. Same before, I actually don't mind that song, and joking aside, it was good to see smiling away, wasn't he? Doesn't look like he's letting it get to him.
I'd love to have seen some of like the faces of some of the people. What the fuck's this?
Yeah.
Who's this?
It's not a walkout tune, is it?
Class.
No. Fingers crossed we're sitting here in January talking about the success he's had.
And talking about Spirit of the Blues.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we finish off then, the big one, Usyk against Fury. Usyk's the favourite. I'm torn on it. You know, I literally, day to day, I'm thinking like, I'm going one way or the other. I think the fact that Fury does normally come back second time round, you know, he's known for having a great boxing IQ, being the bigger man, goes without saying, all that kind of stuff. But Usyk was so good, wasn't he, in the first fight? You know, for the second part anyway, at least.
He was for the second half of the fight, and I think that's... yeah, I'm with you to some extent, and seems a back and forth. I think 4 or 5 weeks ago, I was like, I can't see past Usyk, because the general point being that Usyk's career will tell you that the more rounds he has against someone, whether it's within a fight or over a couple of fights, the better he gets, and the more he works them out, and he's shown that against Joshua as well. It was more convincing in the second fight, so history would tell you that that's going to happen, but history, as you say, would tell you that the Fury comes back and he bounces back and whatever. He's just such a big man as well. Like you don't know what he's been doing in that camp, and the fact he's been so quiet, so unassuming, the fact Usyk has been so outrageously arrogant and confident about. I would say arrogant, confident. I mean, you got to say confident because he's backed it up, hasn't he? So He's so confident.
Polar differences in training for a camp. I know one of Tyson's trainers out in Malta for 3 months, not spoken to his wife or kids for 3 months. Usyk, on the other hand, speaking to his missus every day.
He's in the press most days. He's been talking. He's been out there. So
just dancing about in the ring.
But he's been in Spain and he's like swimming. He's on a bike. He's in the gym. He's sparring. He's doing everything. It's going to be fascinating. I genuinely can't wait for this one.
I can't because really again, you talk about the last fight, which again, both fighters in that camp, we believe would have done everything it could have been, should have been. That's why it's so disappointing. Could have been an outrageously good fight. This one has all of the makings to be a brilliant fight. You've got that revenge element for Fury, thinking I don't want to surrender my legacy, my crown, as you know, being the Gypsy King and the best ever, because that's what he wants to be known as. You've got Usyk, who's just defied every logic by just climbing divisions, beating everything in front of him, no matter the style, the weight, the height, everything. So it's such a defining fight, this, because it's either Usyk, who's crowned as the undisputed, probably a few people could argue the best ever, in
which
terms
is mad,
of
innit?
Just climbing how he's just went up from weight to weight. It defies logic. Like the only fighter people talk about is being able to come close to conquering the heavyweight division down the years, who's climbed this high, was probably Holyfield. And Holyfield is one of the all-timers, but then he lost ultimately at the very top level. So if he beats Usyk, he's in that conversation, top 3, top 5, pound for pound, best ever. No question about it.
It is mad to think of it, the best ever heavyweight being like a smaller man, isn't it? Because you just think heavyweights are dominated and should be the bigger man, and the greatest of all time should be a big audible heavyweight.
And Ali was fucking massive.
Yeah. Or like, it's like big audible, whereas this Fury's got this kind of elegant
he's not like Joe Lewis. He's not like, he's not a huge, even Lennox Lewis was just huge, so long and whatever. And
I think as well what would be really interesting is what happens after the fight. They've both got arguments to retire after it. Do you know what I mean? If Fury gets beat again, I mean, the ultimate contradiction, he come out and said he's not bothered about legacy, he's just bothered about money, and would take the Anthony Joshua fight just for the money. Or does he just retire?
Well, the Dubois team will be quick to jump on it and go, hold on, that low blow or that supposed low blow, what was happened if this didn't happen? I think they'll be trying their best, certainly in the Frank Warren camp, to push that rematch, just to kind of again put Dubois onto that next level. But yeah, I mean, for Fury, particularly how much they can put it with a tucker out of him, you think, what else has he got to prove? Is he proven anything by going in and beating Joshua, who's been beat by a number of people now? It's not like he would be...
That fight would just be for money, I think.
It would be, and it'd just be for the British public to go, we wanted to see that fight. Now, we don't care anymore whether it's for this or that. We just want to see them both go in against each other. So
you make an interesting point with Dubois, because I think if Fury wins, it's 1-1. You automatically think, right, a trilogy.
Yeah.
However, if that's going to happen, let's say, for example, in 9 months' time, that means he'll have 3 months off, but then he'll have to go back into camp again and not see his missus and kids again for another 3 months next year. Will he want to do that? I
think if he beats Usyk, then yeah, you've got to, haven't you? I just think it's like, for him, it's one last fight. This is the last hurrah, so to speak, and this could be it.
You think if Usyk wins, he goes back into Dubai then, do you think?
I'm not sure how much appetite Usyk will have to do that, but again, he'll probably think, yeah, it's interesting, but I think the fight, I know it's the manner of the victory or defeat as well, isn't it? If he comfortably deals with Fury, knocks him down in like the second or third, he's probably thinking, sound, I'll roll into the next one. If it's an absolute slugfest and it's draining for both fighters, and it's a minority decision or something, or split decision, should say that it's a different story. And the same for Fury. If he comprehensively beats him by knockout, he'd be thinking, go ahead, I can do that again.
I watched the fight back, actually, the highlights of it, and I can't believe how lucky Fury was, in that 8th round, I think,
to knock.
Well, why the ref jumped in, and I know he got a standing count, but if he just left him to get knocked out, he was not getting back up.
No.
So it's like, you could argue both ways, couldn't you? I think if you're putting a gun to my head now, I might change my mind tomorrow, but at this moment in time, I'm saying Fury knockout.
I'm saying Usyk late stoppage.
I'm going the same as Gary.
You asked me Saturday morning, I'm saying
not like I'm not
maybe.
Again, just accumulation. I think Fury's obviously going to have his game plan to go and put his weight on Usyk to try and knock him out, and I think the longer the fight goes on and Usyk starts to pick him off, win rounds, Fury's going to get desperate. I think he'll get tired. I think Usyk eventually just finishes him maybe in the 10th or 11th.
I think if it goes the distance, a lot of things on Twitter are like, obviously again, the conspiracies are coming out for the build up to a potential trilogy. It's like, well, if it goes the distance, we already know it's going to be Fury.
Fury points, yeah. As he ends, or as he said, Fury points, hasn't he?
I wonder at what point, right? And you know the way when we spoke this, when like we've been doing running challenges and stuff like that. And I remember like when I was running a marathon, I was thinking, if my prosthetic leg breaks now, that's a great excuse. I don't give a fuck anymore. That whole personal pride goes out the window, and your head starts saying, "Oh, just quit" and all that. I wonder if they've had a proper slugfest, right? And Usyk, despite the character he is, the professional that he is, the legacy on his line, if he's had a proper slugfest and he's fucked, and it's gone to the point he's thinking, you know what, I fucking take a loss because it means I get another big payday. I wonder if that even allows it into your mind.
No.
Because let's face it, the one downside, if Usyk does lose, obviously gutted, the one positive is he gets another fucking payday in 6 months. So,
but like, I think for him, undefeated.
That's what I mean. That's obviously the goal.
Like,
but if you lose, you're undefeated. The one saving grace you have is you get another big fat fucking.
But he will. He can fight whoever he wants, can't he?
Won't be for that money though.
I mean,
it won't be nothing, but it won't be like.
Yeah, true.
The money he's getting for this. Listen, I actually hope Usyk wins, but I think Fury might. And then to finish off dead quick, we've got the Sports Personality of the Year Awards. So you had Cavendish wins the Lifetime Achievement Awards. Kelly Hodgkinson wins the main prize, which Luke Littler comes second, didn't he? Luke Littler also won the Young Sports Personality of the Year Awards. And
Luke Allard, who goes to finished at our college last year. He's a swimmer. He won. Well, he was runner-up or third place in
for the
Young Sports Personality of the Year.
Yeah, I thought Luke Littler would have stole the show, so I was glad that he won one and Kelly Hodgkinson won another, because I seen her interview, she said, look, I set out to do everything I set out to do at the start of the year I've done, so I can't ask for nothing more. So that's for someone in the athletics world as well, to kind of get her flowers as well, especially when Luke Littler gets this rise.
You love that term this week, haven't you? Get her flowers.
I've heard it.
He said that?
I heard it last week, and I've started
trying to get your flowers, Just see how many times he said it. I think it's 4 times maybe. Everyone's getting flowers. Right, okay. Well, lad, Happy New Year. Yeah. I'll not see you next week, but I mean, for the purpose of the show, thanks for this year, Musk. Thanks again, lad. Thanks everyone for watching this year, and we'll see you all in January. Have a boss time. See you later.